Am I the butthole for kicking my brother-in-law out after he made my 10-month-old son spend the night in a stroller? Me, male 37, and my wife, female 30, have a 10-month-old son and recently started sleeping in his own room. We live in a small apartment. My wife works for a marketing company and it requires her to go on trips at least once a month. She invited her 27-year-old brother to stay with us for a few weeks since he lost his job and is incapable of paying rent. I didn't think it was a good idea since the place is small. She said he was okay with the couch and since he loves to spend time with his nephew then there shouldn't be any problems. I said okay and I helped him move his bags. My wife went on her business trip last week and it was just me, him, and my son in the apartment. He begged me to let his girlfriend come spend the night. I have my reasons to decline. Since he talked about missing her and probably wanting to have sex. I said no, not on the couch. Period. I went to sleep leaving him talking on the phone. At nearly 3:45 I woke up to the sound of my son crying. It was close. I was confused. I walked out of the bedroom and saw my son in his stroller in the living room with his face covered in a blanket. I had no idea for how long he was there. I yelled my Bill's name and was very confused. I calmed my son down, then I went to his room. Suddenly my brother-in-law stopped me from going and saying his girlfriend was in there. I was livid. I asked what the hell she was doing there, but I already knew. I started berating him loudly for getting my son out of his room and leaving him in the living room, causing him to stress out. I told him to get out the room immediately. He begged me to let him and his girl stay inside until the morning and take my son into my room. I kept arguing with him, and he and his girlfriend got out the room. And I made them wait until 7 a.m. to leave the apartment. And they did. He then called my wife basically saying that I kicked him out for suggesting that he bring his girlfriend over and take my son to sleep with me in the room while they have some privacy in his room, since I tend to use the bathroom and in the kitchen at 4 a.m. My wife thought I handled it wrong despite explaining, which led to an argument with her as well. The whole family, my in-laws, called me a jerk for kicking him out and treating him like that. They said it was no big deal and that I made a scene over nothing. But I couldn't help but feel mad at him and his girlfriend. I know that my wife's been gaslit by her family no matter how hard I explain I'm in the wrong, as they say. And that's because 1, my brother-in-law told her another story and she believed him since he and I tend to disagree most of the time, so she thought I was being unfair to him. And 2, her family tried to downplay my anger and claimed I overreacted and gaslit my wife, making her think the same. You know that whole thing about how if everyone around you is a butthole, maybe you're the butthole? This is the exception. Literally everyone around you is just a butthole. Not the butthole. Exactly this, especially Op's wife. How are you, Op's wife, okay with your brother removing your sleeping baby, covered his head with a blanket, so him and his girlfriend could have sex in the baby's room? Op, I have never met your wife and I hate her. This situation is so much worse when you realize the brother-in-law could have literally suffocated his baby. There's a reason why babies shouldn't sleep on strollers. A nap is okay, but a full night in a blanket over their head? This could have gone so much worse. My son is 10 months old. If someone took him out of his cot and put him in his pram to sleep overnight, I would be pissed. If there was a blanket over his head, I'd be ropeable and would pack their bags for them. Not the butthole. This exactly. SIDS is a big thing at this age. And the blanket on top of that? So easy to suffocate or have a stroller flip unattended. This is such a safety issue. I don't know how, as a mother, your wife is so blind to this. Op could have called the cops to report child endangerment/abuse on the brother-in-law. He still could. My daughter is 7 months old. If someone did this, I would do things that would get me banned from talking about it on this sub. I literally saw red as soon as I read that part. Can't believe how extremely selfish brother-in-law is. And how the wife's family is acting, like wow. I honestly can't believe that they're making light of how original Poster found his baby. Brother-in-law got off easy there. I'm honestly so angry that someone put their want for sex over the needs and safety of a baby. And that everyone on the wife's side of the family is okay with this. I have so many questions on this family. This man married into a doozy. 5.5 months. Same. I don't even know original Poster or his baby and I'm pissed off at the wife and her brother. I'm child-free and this made me see red. I don't have kids and don't even like them, which makes me butthole in the eyes of many. But I would never do harm to any child. What the F? How stupid a person can be? I'm here with you. Honestly, the fact that brother-in-law thought it was okay to do that at all was rage-inducing. As if, you can't get your own place, so what makes you think anyone, even a baby, would be comfortable having his or her personal space invaded? And then having put the blanket over the baby's head. Absolutely, I would, too. I don't get angry easily, but the brother-in-law and his girlfriend endangered the baby's life too. I need to stop thinking about this. I don't like feeling so angry. Yep, I have a 9-month-old and just a big nope. That would be my hill to die on, and I would go out blazing. Edit, can't type at 3 a.m. The blanket thing, as if, did he think the baby was a parakeet? He covered the baby with a blanket to muffle its cries or something. This is murder podcast territory. I don't know much about kids, but I have heard about SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, and I assume having a blanket over a baby's face at not all that sudden but a sure as hell way to accidentally suffocate a child if they choke on it. Holy crap, I would have thrown them both out right then and there, not at 7 a.m, not the butthole. The SIDS would be caused by the sleeping in a stroller rather than the blanket over their head. Prams have babies sat in weird positions that is not natural to sleep in at all. They can also cause all sorts of development issues if left in them for too long. There is a reason why the recommendation is that babies are not kept in prams and car seats for more than a couple of hours at a time is. If anyone who had done this to my baby, they would have been out on the street under threat of police being called, to be honest. I literally cannot fathom the wife though. In the UK, at least safe sleep practices are drilled into you at every midwife appointment, during the hospital stay, every contact with the health visitor. There's no way she wouldn't know the dangers. To disregard that to pacify her sleaze of a brother is mind-blowing. Her family sounds terrible. She sounds like a neglectful mother for defending her brother about his behavior. They all deserve each other. I don't see this marriage going anywhere, if the health of the child is optional at best for one parent. If I'm forced to let them stay, I'd make damn sure that their stay is uncomfortable. Oh, you want to sleep? Sorry, there's a marathon on TV. I'd also be billing them and go out of my way to make my displeasure known to the whole family. Maybe put them in chairs to sleep, see how they like that. With a weighted blanket on their face. Op should have locked the baby's room and moved the couch and crib into his room. My sister and her husband occasionally strapped their babies in their car seats to keep them upright when they were sick, but that was A, with the direction of their doctors, B, when the kids had a drainy disease where sitting up would help, and C, they were taking turns monitoring them. They never considered just tossing kiddo into a stroller and wishing them well. SIDS is still a huge, heartbreaking problem. You are taught safe sleep methods for your baby for an actual reason. Not just because doctors, nurses, midwives, health visitors etc. have nothing better to do. Op, you are definitely not the butthole A. A pram is okay for a little nap, but for a whole night, it can be dangerous. Buggies/strollers don't lie completely flat, and a baby needs to be lying flat, on a firm mattress so that they aren't slumped over and therefore, can breathe properly. It can cause obstruction of airways if they are in anything but a cot overnight. Add into that a blanket over baby's face and it is a literal recipe for disaster. Why would you risk the safety of your nephew just so you could spend the night with your partner? If he didn't know, then he needs to be taught that those actions could have had severe, dangerous consequences. And the fact that his girlfriend had to sneak and tells me he knew what he was doing was wrong. There are some great resources out there on safe sleeping. Try and show your in-law some bits to show them that what he done was wrong. I'm really passionate about safe sleeping and SIDS prevention, so I might have gone on a tangent. I will get off my soapbox now, sorry. Yes, and add to it all the reason for this was that somebody had sex in his baby bed. Disgusting. At 3 to 4 a.m., probably they were done already. So much this. This was my first thought. Babies should not be in strollers or car seats to sleep, especially throughout the night. This is dangerous and could have ended in the worst possible way. Besides the fact that the incline of a car seat, while safe for cars, changes when you set it down on a place that's not the base, which can cause positional asphyxiation. How are you, Op's wife, okay with your brother removing your sleeping baby, covered his head with a blanket, so him and his girlfriend could have sex in the baby's room. She's not. She just doesn't think that's what happened. That means she thinks her husband is lying and using her son to frame her brother. I think her reaction is far too mild for her to genuinely believe her brother. I think she is choosing the path of least resistance for her. Or, she think the real story is somewhere between the two versions she's heard, like most. Which is a whole other awful issue. She doesn't believe the word of her own husband when he says her infant son was placed in terrible danger. This right here sums it up, not the butthole. Not the butthole. Please never let anyone who took your bill's side after learning the whole story ever watch your son. Your brother-in-law woke up your sleeping infant and moved him to a very unsafe sleeping arrangement without telling anyone just so your brother-in-law could have sex. You found your infant son crying with a blanket on his head. Really? How could you ever be the A? You do not have to allow his girlfriend over and nothing justifies what he did. Reading this has me so upset. Also, they were having sex in the nursery. I repeat, they were having sex in the son's bedroom. If I was up, I would be livid that anyone would even consider having sex where my baby sleeps. This is what weirded me out, and also the fact his girlfriend didn't see anything wrong with it or leaving the baby in a stroller. Poor thing was probably so uncomfortable. I get scared about my nephew even sleeping in the car because he might be uncomfortable and the blanket over the baby's face might be exaggerating, but what if the blanket went into his mouth and covered his nose too much that he suffocated? The entire in-laws are massive, and so is the wife. I would leave with the baby until she gets into therapy and cuts of the family. I actually thought the blanket was draped over the stroller. He can't be this much of a butthole, can he? Maybe he didn't realize the danger that is caused by covering the baby. Like, I wouldn't put it past someone to cover a baby with a blanket, not the face, to keep them warm. It doesn't matter. That is still dangerous, although a lot of people don't realize that. Of course. I'm in no way supporting what he did, either the blanket over the baby or the stroller. I'm sorry it came off that way. I just wanted to note it didn't even occur to me that he actually covered the baby's head. I thought it was draped over. Like you said, that's still dangerous, and a baby like that shouldn't be left unattended. Might be exaggerating. Not at all. This is precisely why you don't put pillows and blankets in the cot with the baby. It's not just uncomfortable, it can straight up kill them. The 2-hour rule exists for a reason. Leaving a baby in a stroller/car seat for more time than that can lead to development issues in the spine and lungs, not to mention that it makes it harder to breathe for them, especially if they fall asleep and their head slumps forwards. This can and has killed babies. Now, I doubt brother-in-law knew about this, but this isn't a mistake you can just let happen and learn from. And even if he didn't know, he surely must have considered the chance of the baby moving and flipping the carrier, for example. It was just extreme negligence that could have ended much worse. The fact that they were even capable of getting in the mood in a nursery. Truly disgusting. I wonder if they were doing it on the floor or if they managed to cram themselves into the crib. Many people put a day bed or a bed of some kind in the nursery for a parent to sleep in after feeding. In any case, it's gross to use a child's room to get off in. I am deeply concerned about the wife taking her brother's side over her infant baby here. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt and thinking original poster hasn't gotten a chance to tell the whole truth of the matter, though personally I wouldn't be very mad at all if my spouse kicked out someone for even suggesting trying to have sex in my baby's nursery. I'm with you on this one until I hear more from her and she gets the full story. My dad used to travel for work a lot, and the fights between siblings and our mom and it getting back to my dad were always a crap show, and he never got the full story until he got back. If his wife is on a work trip, she may not be able to do anything other than take the path of least resistance until she gets back. It still sucks and she should back her husband, but I can see why one might do that, especially if her family is blowing her phone up and it's multiple people. I've been there, gotten 192,738,273 messages from family causing drama while I'm in a meeting with clients and I have to turn my phone off altogether. Yeah. I definitely don't envy her trying to play mediator between her husband and her family. Definitely looking forward to if original poster ever updates. I second this. Blankets over a sleeping infant's head can cause them to suffocate. If the blanket is fibrous, pieces of fiber/lint can get lodged in your child's throat, and he can die from it. SIDS is another issue. In all honesty, you should ban the brother-in-law from ever being around your child again. Or even just the position baby is sleeping in can cause suffocation. Head and neck at the wrong angle, that's why you don't leave them to sleep. In a car seat overnight either. Short naps in a stroller with an adult nearby, sure. Overnight in a room by themselves with no one to notice if they stop breathing? Original poster is so fortunate nothing went wrong. Yes, this isn't the head/neck position in a stroller/car seat dangerous because a child of that age's neck muscles are not sufficient to always hold their throat open? I totally agree with this. Original poster needs to protect that kid. Leaving your child in a stroller/car seat to sleep raises the chance of SIDS alone. But a blanket over his face too. Maybe I'm a paranoid mom, but I read that as if original poster's brother-in-law basically zipped that kid inside a suitcase. I hope the wife sees this feed. The thought of a baby nearly being smothered just so an uncle could get laid really grinds my gears. Not the butthole, you brother-in-law almost killed your baby. This cannot be overstated. A baby cannot be left with a blanket over their head. Sleeping in the stroller unattended depends on the stroller and the baby, but the blanket is a huge hazard. If your wife does not recognize the issue, parenting classes might be in order. All of the things brother-in-law did aside, this is the number one thing. The baby could have suffocated and died. The baby could have suffocated and died. The baby could have suffocated and died. This is a hill to die on. Original poster. If your wife doesn't get her head on straight sharpish, consider if your son is safe with her and her family, and what that means for your relationship. Not the butthole. Read this like 110 times, make sure it sinks in. Your baby could have suffocated and died. Your baby could have suffocated and died so your brother-in-law could get his rocks off after you put him up rent-free. And the wife is defending said brother-in-law. This is absolutely the argument that needs to present to his wife instead of harping on the sex aspect, which, while nasty and a reason in itself to kick him out since he was defying ops rules, isn't going to convince her nearly as much as the fact that her idiot brother could have accidentally killed her baby. One would hope, at least. Web link. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.